as a strategic option based on the two-state solution, allow me to urge your esteemed Council and the international community as a whole to work seriously and effectively with Arab states to end this long-standing conflict and deliver a better future for the Middle East region and their peoples. I thank you.
I thank His Excellency Mr. Zaini for his statement, and I now give the floor to the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Immigrants of Lebanon, His Excellency Mr. Abdallah Bou Habib.
Mr. President, Your Excellencies, we are meeting again today at the Security Council to discuss the volatile situation in the Middle East, which has lasted more than 9 months, with the kind invitation of the Russian Federation. The conflict has widened, conditions have deteriorated, and the ball of fire rages on after the international community has been unable to date to implement United Nations resolutions aimed at a ceasefire in Gaza, the exchange of prisoners and hostages, and the entry of aid, medicine, and life-sustaining food into the Gaza Strip. In recent months, Lebanese officials have been given several warnings about the danger of the expansion of the war into Lebanon. We have also heard dozens of statements by senior Israeli officials threatening to burn Lebanon, destroy it, and blow it back to the Stone Age. From this rostrum, we renew our warning of miscalculation, brinkmanship, and dragging the entire region towards an explosive situation. From this rostrum also, we reiterate our rejection of the war and our efforts through contacts and meetings to avoid falling into the trap of Israeli recklessness, which seeks to continue the war and expand its geographical scope. This war, if it happens, will shake the entire Middle East. It will be transboundary, and it will lead to a new displacement crisis from which Europe will not be spared, not only from Lebanon and Israel, but also from neighboring countries fleeing missiles, drones, and warplanes. It will also lead to destruction, devastation, and misery for the entire region, and the lack of opportunities for a dignified life for its peoples and residents, which means further migration and displacement. Hence, Lebanon, a geographically small state, a state big in its global reach, culture, and history, is increasingly upholding international legitimacy and is protected by its decisions. For Lebanon, the United Nations will remain the line of defense that shelters us and the last refuge from the logic of violence and occupation. Today, we are in a dire need for the role of the UN as a refuge of peace-loving small countries, including Lebanon. Mr. President, at the Security Council meeting on the situation in the Middle East on the 23rd of January, we have put forward an integrated framework for sustainable calm on Lebanon's southern border. Today, we reiterate our call for a ceasefire to move forward towards full and undiminished implementation of Security Council Resolution 1701, which has proven its ability to establish relative stability in southern Lebanon since the end of the July 2006 war and until the 7th of October 2023. The shortest way for tens of thousands of displaced persons from both sides to return to their homes is not through the threat of war or opening another front, but through the full and comprehensive implementation of Resolution 1701 as part of an integrated basket with clear and declared international guarantees to promote sustainable, calm, and security in southern Lebanon as per the following. 1. Facilitate the rapid and safe return of displaced persons from the border areas from which they were displaced after October 7th, 2023, and the return to normal life in all border villages and towns. 2. A definitive cessation of Israeli violations by air, land, and sea of Lebanon's sovereignty and its internationally recognized borders, which have exceeded 35,000 since the year 2006. 3. Ceasing carrying out cyber attacks that threaten the security and safety of networks, devices, applications, and electronic data in facilities and vital Lebanese facilities, especially Rafik Hariri International Airport, which threatens public safety and adversely affects its work and functionality. 4. Support by the UN and friendly countries the Lebanese government to deploy the Lebanese army south of the Litani River and provide it with the necessary equipment to augment its ranks so that there would be no weapon without the approval of the government and would be no authority except the authority of the government of Lebanon in accordance with Resolution 1701. 5. Marking Lebanon's internationally recognized borders that have been marked between Lebanon and Palestine in 1923, which have been stressed in the Lebanese-Israeli armistice agreement signed in the Greek island of Rhodes in 1949 under the auspices of the UN. This would be done through completing the process of agreeing on the 13 disputed border points. As such, Israel would withdraw from all Lebanese territory that it continues to occupy to reach internationally recognized borders. 6. Adherence to and commitment to the UNIFIL forces in southern Lebanon, as it has been a factor for calm and stability in the region. And this is despite the major sacrifices and the challenges, particularly in recent months. Hence, last month, we have submitted a request for the renewal of UNIFIL's mandate without any modification on the current mandate. We look forward to working and cooperating with all members of the Security Council to achieve this, since this is a pivotal issue and UNIFIL is central in its role. Mr. President, we have demanded an end to the war in Gaza and an end to the escalation in southern Lebanon. To date, Israel continues to refuse a ceasefire on our southern border, and it has sought to keep this front a hotspot, and it continues to expand the scope of its aggression and burning thousands of ancient olive trees and polluting agricultural land with white phosphorus so that it would be unarable land, which deprives farmers in southern Lebanon from their main and perhaps only source of livelihood, which feeds hatred, extremism, and canceling others at a time when we are in a serious need for calm, de-escalation, and stability. The hotspot front on our southern border is because of the continued war in Gaza. Palestine will remain the key to stability in the Middle East. And despite the tragedy today in Gaza, we need to cooperate together so that this would be a historic opportunity to chart a future that is better for future generations in all the countries of the region. It has been 67 years since the UN resolution was adopted to establish two states in historic Palestine. Only one of those two states has been established. Peace in our region will not be achieved before the establishment of the promised Palestinian state in line with relevant UN resolutions, particularly resolutions 242 and 338 of 1967. And the Arab Peace Initiative of the 2002 Arab Summit held in Beirut, based on the principle of land for peace, namely the two-state solution. The recognition of the right of the Palestinian people to free and decent life on their territory is the key to peace, security, and prosperity for all the countries of the Middle East. Mr. President, the microphone has been cut off. The sound is back, the interpreter notes. Double standards in the application of international laws and resolutions, especially those adopted by the United Nations General Assembly, the Security Council, and specialized international organizations, constitute an existential challenge to our global system, its foundation and pillars. In the occupied Palestinian territory, namely East Jerusalem, the West Bank, and the Gaza Strip, we deplore what we see as taking lightly international will and the way UN resolutions are addressed. Furthermore, there are flagrant violations of international law and human rights. The right to live in dignity, freedom, and the right to medicine, education, housing, and food for Palestinians are basics of human life in the 21st century. So, how is an entire people left to the whims of the occupier to die because of disease, hunger, and thirst? Hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians are children, women, and elderly. They have committed no fault except that they were born and they have lived and they are dying every day under occupation. In closing, we are committed to optimism and hope, to ensuring a dignified and free coexistence and the constant pursuit of stability, peace, and security, no matter how long it takes. We are not seeking cancellation, killing, and displacement. We, in Lebanon, have paid the highest price as a result of the wars that we have suffered, and we have tasted its bitterness. We have paid the highest prices to defend and advocate for the rights of Palestine and its people, and we still are paying the highest price, sometimes beyond our capacity. We come today to call on you to give peace a chance after decades of conflict and occupation. Aren't 76 years enough? Wars, killing, and tragedies. Aren't we going to learn from this bitter past? Aren't we going to give peace a chance? Isn't it time? Let's start this long journey of 1,000 miles by applying